Good evening, everyone. My name is Christine Stenning, and I am the president of the League of Women Voters for Newport County. And I want to welcome you all here this evening. We have members of the League down front who will be timing the candidates, and they, like this is our 7th forum and our last forum. So we saved the best for last, and we're glad that you're here. Please know that the League of Women Voters is nonpartisan. We do not support candidates either way, and that the questions that you will receive tonight are questions that will reflect the nonpartisan nature of who we are. Your moderator for tonight is Scott Pickering, East Bay Media Group, and I'm going to turn this over to him now.
Okay, thank you, Christine. The candidates got a little preview of how this format's going to go. I'll give a brief overview for the audience. And as Christine said, these are not structured as debates. These are structured as forums. This is a chance for candidates to make some statements, answer some questions. You know, they may disagree. They may have different views on things. They can sort of state those views if they're different from each other, but it's not a debate where they're talking to each other. They're directing their answers to the audience. I'm directing the questions, and so that's the format we follow. It's all structured in a way so that at the end of this session, if they use all their time, everyone here has an equal amount of time to speak, so there's structured time blocks. So if they speak through all of it, they'll each have a certain equal amount of time to speak. We have a little bit of a confusing, which is why I have this really like fancy color-coded schedule that none of you have, but we're going to do, in order to get as many questions and topics on the table as possible, instead of answering one question, one thing I've learned over the years with these forums is sometimes if you ask a question and then go down the line and have every candidate ask the same question, by the time you get to the last person in the line, they're kind of running out of things to say, and it's a tough spot to be in. So in order to get more topics on the table, we're going to ask a question and 3 candidates are going to answer it, all with 1-minute answers. And then all these candidates have something called wild cards, which are 30-second blocks of time. If they want to jump in on a question that isn't asked of them, they can let me know. I'll call on them, and they'll say, and they want to jump in on that topic. If they don't want to, they don't. They don't have to. And as soon as we're done with that topic, we move on to a new topic with 3 more people, and we're going to keep rotating around. So every candidate's going to get called on first to answer a question, which is the hardest thing to do because you have 1.5 seconds to think of your thoughts. And every one of you is going to be called on last, and it's going to be equal as we go through the evening. So they all get 1-minute opening statements, which they can lengthen if they want with their wild cards. They all get 1-minute questions they're going to be asked, and they all get 30-second closing statements, which they can also lengthen with their wild cards. So, and candidates, I'll basically just be your tour guide through the evening. I'll let you know when it's your turn. I'll call on you. I'll recognize you. If you want a chance to talk, just let me know. Raise your hand, wave at me. I'll recognize you, and it should be easy peasy. It should be about an hour, this program, maybe a little less. So we drew random numbers to determine the order, and I should probably say who. I don't know if anyone knows who I am. Not that it matters. I'm just the guy here asking the questions. I'm serious. It doesn't really matter. It's not about me. But my name's Scott Pickering. I'm the general manager of the East Bay Media Group, which publishes the Secaunet Times and 6 other local newspapers. And my first ever job in journalism was as a reporter for the Secaunet Times 30 years ago, covering Tiverton and Lower Compton. So this is actually where my journalistic roots are. Okay, we're going to start with opening statements. We're going to go this, for the audience, left to right. And our first candidate is Diane Farnworth, and you have a 1-minute opening statement.
Thank you very much, and good evening, everyone. I am Diane Farnworth, and I am up for re-election to the Tiverton School Committee. I'm a longtime resident of Tiverton, married to my wonderful husband, David, and the proud mother of a Tiverton High School graduate. I have a bachelor's in accounting from Roger Williams University. and I have enjoyed a long career in banking and finance. I'm currently a program manager in the Regulatory Initiatives Group with Bank of America. I was elected to the school committee for the first time in 2016, re-elected in 2020. In that time, a lot has happened. I have championed lots of causes, including technology integration in our classrooms, staff development, school safety, infrastructure improvements, and many more. I have participated in negotiations with both the NEA and Council 94. I am the current chair of the committee, and I am finished with my opening statement. Thank you.
Okay. And for the audience who isn't aware, there's timekeepers in the front row, and they're flashing yellow and red signs, and it's just like a traffic sign. The yellow means you're running out of time, and the red means your time is up. All right, next we have Kim Paquette.
Good evening. I just want to say thank you for everyone for showing up. It's really nice to see the support for the school committee. I also have an accounting degree that I earned from Rhode Island College. I worked for the district for over 10 years, started out as a TA and went to secretarial. I have 2 older boys that graduated, went all through Tiverton and they graduated, and I have a daughter who is not graduated yet. I belong to the SPEAR organization, which is Special Education Advocacy and Reform on the state level. I also belong to the Tiverton CLAC, which is Special Education Local Advisory Committee. I'm sorry, I do have more time? Okay,
You do.
I'm sorry. I'm getting a little nervous with those signs. Actually, I guess that's about it for right now. Yeah, that's it.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you. Opening statement, Mike Dakotas for 1 minute.
Thank you, Scott. My name is Mike Dakotas. I'm a 20-year resident of Tiverton. I'm originally from Middletown, Rhode Island, if anyone knows where that is. I have 3 beautiful children, 1 son that graduated from the high school. He's in the U.S. Navy. I have a daughter in 9th grade and another daughter that's in 5th grade. My wife is a paraprofessional teacher's aide at Tiverton School. I am involved with the school district. I am a former teacher. I went to Salve Regina University in Newport, where I got my Bachelor's of Arts. I now work for a pharmaceutical company in biotech. My background in education consists of 4 years teaching and then joining the Picasset PTO for 4 years, which I was able to meet some wonderful people that got me involved. I sat on the budget committee for 2 years. I'm up for re-election. I've done 4 years on the school committee, and I'm looking forward to tonight. Thank you. Thanks for coming.
Thank you. And we have Jocelyn Sherman.
Thank you, Scott. Thank you to the League of Women Voters, sponsors, and everyone that's here tonight. I'm Jocelyn Sherman. I did not grow up in Tiverton. I went to Cumberland High School, public school. However, we've been here for 21 years. I graduated with a bachelor's and master's degree in science from the University of Rhode Island. And I currently work in management, clinical management. However, I have a background in operations management as well. And I have 22 years working in behavioral health care. Oldest daughter just graduated from Tiverton High School in June, and she's a freshman at the University of Rhode Island. Go Rhody. Youngest daughter is a junior at the high school, and for the last 13 years, I've been volunteering in this school system, starting at Picasset, right to the middle school, Tiverton Middle School School Improvement Team, Parent Advisory, and I'm the current co-chair for the Tiverton High School School Improvement Team, and I think we have the best school improvement team in the town. Some of you are here. But years of volunteering gave me the opportunity to collaborate with parents, with teachers, with administrators, attending town meetings. I've been tuned in for quite some time, and I hope with your support I can help. Thank you.
Thank you. And Jordan Riley.
So, hi everyone, thank you for being here tonight. I am Jordan Riley. I'm a wife, a mother to 3 elementary age students here in Tiverton. I'm a business owner and THS graduate, 2004. I have a degree in business marketing from the University of Rhode Island, and now run a few companies here in town. I am also a volunteer competitive soccer coach. member of the Tiverton Little Compton Prevention Coalition, which works to fight against many issues. One of the biggest ones we face right now is bullying. Before moving to Tiverton at the age of 10, I went to a large consolidated elementary school in Connecticut. Wasn't a fan. I felt like a number. So when I moved to Tiverton, after attending just 1 year of elementary school here at Nonquit, it fueled my passion for learning and changed my entire outlook on education at a very young age. Tiverton schools felt like magic to me, so naturally, I always wanted the very same and more for my own children. I'm sitting here today because I've felt and seen what our schools are capable of firsthand. And if I'm elected, I intend to work hard to do everything we can here in Tiverton to give all children an educational experience that fills them with confidence and pride.
Thank you. Okay, those are the opening statements. Every candidate stayed within the 1 minute, except Ms. Riley went over, so we charged her one of her 7 wild cards, just to set the scene. All right, we're going to move to questions now. The first question is going to Diane, Kim, and Mike. All of you having 1 minute answers, and then if the other candidates want to also jump in on the question, just let me know. I'll call on you, and if not, we'll move. And the next question will go to Jocelyn, Jordan, and Diane, and we'll loop around. All right, first, and these questions, just for the audience, these were, most of them submitted. I've been to many of these forums where the questions submitted are loaded questions, which I can clearly see through, are targeting like one candidate or one issue, or they're trying to out someone, or so these have been sort of, first of all, we didn't get many of those here for Tiverton, which is good. Secondly, if there were, they've all been phrased in a way that any candidate could answer these questions. None of them are pointed at anyone. They're all universally applied, you know, fitting the nonpartisan theme of the night. So hopefully these are questions that could be answered by anyone up here with equal background and experience. First question. The Tiverton Public Schools mission is, quote, to provide all students we serve with an exceptional education through high quality instruction and positive relationships. What does this mission mean to you? How do you see it guiding your work on the school committee? Ms. Farnworth, you have 1 minute.
Thank you. The Tiverton School's mission statement is very, very important to me, and indeed is one of my guiding lights as I serve on the school committee. With regard to high quality instruction, I think we've made a lot of progress over the last several years in this area. Our staff is better trained than they ever have been for today's students. They have received any number of professional development opportunities, and it is really one of my top goals to see that continue. We've also been able to provide the tools, and this is an important thing, right? Our children need the tools to succeed. That's both the physical tools, be it technology or otherwise, and the tools emotionally to succeed. So I think those are the two primary reasons that the mission statement works for me, and it is so important. For positive relationships, social and emotional learning, you know, they need to form good relationships with each other as well as with the adults.
Thank you. Thank you. Ms. Paquette, same question for 1 minute.
Yes, the mission statement, I believe that Tiverton should be preparing children for after they graduate and they go on into life. They should be as best prepared as they possibly can. I think we do have a great staff here. I've met a lot of people while I was working here, and they do go the extra mile for the students. Our students are really great too. They're always very hardworking. They're just a great bunch of kids. I see them out. I see them. It's interesting to find out what they've been doing with their life and how they've grown into who they are today. I really feel that that's important. That's the way the school should be. I'm sorry, I'm just...
It's all good. Mr. Dakotas, same question, 1 minute.
Thanks, Scott. So, mission statement should be something that an organization wants to follow and abide by. And I think what we aim to offer is an inclusive learning environment for any type of student. We have students with special needs, we have students with all kind of needs, and we make sure that we have an environment that includes everyone, social, emotional, all kinds of things. For me in particular, I think that one of the mission statement points is that we are giving the best education possible. We want our students to make sure that they feel welcome, and when they go from one school to the next, we want to prepare them for post-secondary education, whether they want to go into a trade, they want to go to college. I have a child in the military that went to the high school, and our job is to make sure that along the way that we're guiding them, we're doing the best job for our children to make sure that they're successful. And that's part of the mission statement from Tiverton, part of what I want to be part of. Thank you.
All right, thank you. If no one else, we can move on to a new question. And I should probably give you guys a roadmap as you're thinking about your wild cards. So we're gonna ask 10 questions. Each of you is gonna be called on to answer 6 of them. So 6 times you're definitely gonna be called on to answer, and there'll be 4 that you're not called on, and so it's your choice whether to jump in. Generally speaking, they're all different topics. There's a couple financial things that are kind of similar, but mostly they're new topics each time. All right, this question is going to go to Jocelyn, Jordan, and Diane. 1 minute answers. Serving on a school committee is often very personal for people. They have students in the schools, or they've graduated from the school district and want to give back, or they're looking to make improvements. Can you share why you are running for the school committee and your connection to this school community?
Okay, great question. So my daughter is a junior at the high school, and my oldest daughter graduated from the high school. But having been a volunteer all through Picasset, all through middle school, all through high school, I've seen the work that these teachers do, sometimes without probably enough resources, but they do it and they do it well. And so I want that tradition to continue. I want to be able to support what they need. I want to be able to preserve what works well and build upon that and see what we can do for our students to help them continue to be ready for post-secondary education. So it is personal in that respect that my kids have gone through the system, and volunteering in the system has just been so rewarding. I've worked with so many of you sitting out there, and I think it's a great example of collaboration, and that's my goal. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Riley, also a minute.
So I did touch upon this briefly in my opening statement, but I was lucky enough to get to spend my 4th grade year here at Nonquit. Nonquit's no longer here, but it was an exceptional school just like the rest of our 5 schools are today. Coming from larger schools in bigger cities in my younger years, I thrived in that 1 year, and it truly set me up for the success that I was able to see throughout my education in middle and high in Tiverton. I met my husband here when I was a junior in high school. We now have 3 children. We came back and settled here because we wanted our children to have a very similar, if not better, experience to what we had. I know what our schools are capable of doing. I've lived it, breathed it. I've seen it with my own children, watched them thrive, and I think we can do a lot more of it.
And thank you. Ms. Farnworth, same question.
Thank you. As with some of the other candidates, I was raised here in Tiverton. My husband was raised here in Tiverton. We're both graduates of Tiverton High School. Our son, we chose to come live here. We did live in Fall River for some time when we were married, and we chose to come back here, largely in part because of our schools. While my son was going through his school journey, I was too an active and involved parent. I served on the SIT team at Picasset School. I served on the middle school's PTO. I was Mrs. Band Mom in the high school. Through that time, I also got involved in some of the district-wide work, i.e. interview committees for principals. Strategic Planning Committee in 2015. I just felt that going for a seat on the school committee was the next logical step as my son was finishing his education. And I would like to continue that step as we move forward. Thank you.
Yeah, Mr. Dakotas, 30 seconds.
Thank you. I think as adults, one of the things that we can offer society is to educate children. And educated children grow up to educate their children. And, you know, little things that happened when I grew up, my parents were home a lot and they were present and I had a great upbringing, but I always wanted more, and I told myself when I got older, I would be more involved. And coming here and learning about Tiverton, because I'm not from here, is a place we learn to love, and I want to be able to give back to the community, and that's why I continue to run for public office.
Thank you. All right, we'll move to a new question. This is going to go Kim, Mike, Jocelyn. All right. Recently, the first phase of a financial audit funded by the town did not identify any major issues within the school system. However, the main recommendation from the audit is to improve communication between the school committee and the town council. How would you work to implement this recommendation and enhance collaboration between the two governing bodies?
I believe right now the director of finance, the new director of finance that was hired by the school committee, is doing a phenomenal job. The town council, he's even said that they've met with him and he's provided them with financial statements. I believe that communication is key, that we need to know what's going on a regular basis. The town council needs to know what's going on a regular basis. I think we should all be working collaboratively, so that way we are aware, the town council is aware of what we need, and it's all about communication.
Thank you. Mr. Dakotas, same question.
Thank you, Scott. So I'm going to put it a little bit differently. So I'm someone that served on the budget committee. I think I have a little bit of experience with looking at budgets from the municipal side to the school side. And I think I can appreciate what the town council is tasked to do. They're tasked to take monies to run the entire town. I know that can't be easy. Everyone wants a piece of the pie, okay? I think this year, the town council, and I understand we had a pretty heated budget season, but in the end, I think the right things happened. They happened for the right reasons. And in the end, for me, I'm always someone that believes in collaboration and working with people. There's many people in this room that I've spent countless hours doing things with to champion all sorts of causes. And what I would say in finishing this whole thing is, I am somebody that definitely can collaborate and communicate. I like decorum and I like to work things out, and I'm very open-minded, and it's one of the things that we need to do to move forward. And we're getting there. Small steps, but we're getting there.
Thank you. And Ms. Sherman, same question, 1 minute.
I think it's going to be important to get our financial information early, frequently, so that we can see our information in real time, not get caught by surprise with anything. And, you know, I think our CFO is going to help us with that, and we can collaborate with the town council early on to come up with our plan, because if you watched the school committee meeting last night, we need to start thinking about this now. And I think in my line of work, I do that every day. I collaborate within my department, I collaborate with other disciplines, patients, customers, you name it. And the budget is always front and center. And if I'm in any sort of variance, I need to explain that and I need to correct it. So this is work that's very familiar to me. And certainly the goal would be to collaborate so that we get the results we need and our kids don't suffer because of that. We preserve services, we keep teaching positions and support staff, SEL, everything. So start early and collaborate.
Thank you. Ms. Farnworth wants to jump in, but let me just do one thing. So when these are the wild cards. Maybe the format's too complicated because I feel like I need to constantly explain it. But I'm calling out, and I'm going to say you have 30 seconds to use. That's to help the timekeepers keep track of where we are. If you're passionate on a topic and you want to talk for 2 minutes straight, you are welcome to. And we'll charge you 4 wild cards. So just so you know. So this is a wild card. Ms. Farnworth, go right ahead.
Thank you very much. This is a topic, of course, that's been front and center in the town this year. one of the very first thing I'll do after the election is to reach out to the town council and look to schedule a joint meeting. I think we need to work much more closely together on the annual budgeting process. It's changed the last few years, and truthfully, this past year was not a good one. We do need to work together. We need to set a budget schedule where we're meeting regularly and understanding the expectations. I've also advocated for a town-wide finance committee. I think it's important that all of the financially involved persons within the town have a regular opportunity to work together on the financial condition, not only of the schools, but the town as a whole, because the school is a major part of the town. I've made this proposal, and I'm still very hopeful that I'll be able to convince our town to go this way. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, we're going to move to a new question. This is going to go Jordan, Diane, Kim. What is your plan to ensure there is a fair, impartial, and extensive search, both inside and outside of Tiverton schools, for the next superintendent? 1 minute.
So I think selecting the next superintendent is obviously going to be a huge feat for the next school committee, whoever's sitting here. I think number one, we need to designate a committee, somewhat of a group of educated, whether it's educators, parents, a small committee to nominate ideas, options, and then once we've worked together to bring different prospects in, I think it would be a great idea to have something similar to this, like an open forum, where community members have the ability to ask questions with a narrowed down group of candidates, maybe of 3 or 4 candidates, and work together to ask the right questions and find the right fit for this district.
Thank you. Ms. Farnworth, same question. 1 minute.
Thank you. I think immediately following the election, and I indicated this at a recent meeting, that this will be job number 1, that we'll dive right in. I think the very first thing I want to point out to everyone is that if I'm elected, I will insist on a very transparent process, and it will be a collaborative process. I think that the committee discussions where we will decide and debate the actual format of how we will go about this will be public. And I also would intend to use any of the resources that are currently available to all of us through the Rhode Island Department of Education, the Rhode Island Association of School Committees, as well as the people we know in other districts who may have gone through processes like this recently. But at the end of the day, this is one of the most important jobs of a school committee. And I think that, us coming together and determining what that process really will be the first order of business after the election.
Thank you. And Ms. Paquette, same thing, 1 minute.
One thing that I just learned recently was that the superintendent is hired by the school committee. The superintendent hires the administrative people, your principals, data manager, those types of positions. So it is a very, very important position that we need to be very careful when we find someone we need to search out. There needs to be involvement with the community if they want some. There needs to be involvement with definitely educators and anyone that's within the school department. To me, the more collaboration, the more that someone has to put into something, the better off it is. There's a lot of different viewpoints. We need to find somebody who is going to do right by the school, and we need to make sure that we make that right decision because it is our children's future, and we need to be very, very particular. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, Mr. Dakotas, 30 seconds.
So I'd be remiss if I didn't speak. I agree with actually all 3 of the candidates, what they've already said. And I think the one part that I personally would reiterate to anyone that's thinking of me as a candidate is this would be an open, transparent process that anyone and everyone would be able to have a say, feedback, whatever it may be. And this shapes our future for Tiverton. It's a very, very important task that we have, and I just wanted to make sure that I made it vocal, that I would make sure that lots of people would have a say, especially our staff. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, we'll move to a new question. This is going to go Mike, Jocelyn, Jordan. And this was a submitted question. It's a first half and a second half. And I know what's going to happen. You're going to focus on the second half. You're going to forget the first half. But I'm going to ask it anyway, and you can figure it out. Do you have a plan for capital projects that you would like to see at all the schools? And in particular, what would you like to see done with the high school stadium field due to the marginal condition of the field? 1 minute.
All right, might be some wild cards here. So in all the schools, we've rebuilt the elementary schools over the last 10 or 15 years, and our high schools, not that long ago, 7 or 8 years ago, got boilers and roofs and AC upgrades. Our schools are built for the future. I know that a lot of them are old. They do have good bones. I would like to see technology in our schools. And technology costs money, and it's not cheap. But I think the way of the world, and we're all aware that our kids learn a lot through technology. And I think upgrading our schools' technology is going to be very important. I think it's the way that we're going to learn. Everything is going AI with everything else. And I'm going to take a wild card here, but I want to go into the school and the field. So if we look at our neighbors, we look at Newport, and Middletown, and Portsmouth, there's a lot of turf fields. There's a lot of beautiful athletic complexes. I think we do as good as we can here in Tiverton to keep what we have viable, but at the end of the day, we have a lot of student athletes playing on these fields, and they're getting torn up, and we're at the point we need to make an investment as a town, because kids are motivated by things like the arts and athletics. And I think we should seriously consider having a conversation about upgrading the facility here at the high school, whether it be for football or field hockey and soccer and lacrosse, and I can go on and on about who needs to use the field. And I am championing that 1,000,000%. Thank you for whoever submitted that question.
Thank you. Ms. Sherman, same question.
Thank you. So I would want to look at a list of, I guess you would call it a wish list of what capital improvements each school would want. In full disclosure, my primary focus these days is the high school, naturally, because my daughter's a student here. So thinking about the high school, I'd love to see a media center, and of course the athletic fields. I was a student athlete at URI, so that's so important to me, and I worry that kids maybe are more prone to injury because the fields, maybe can we get grants, what's the funding going to be, and certainly can't impact the operating budget. It would have to be capital and hopefully grant funded. Thank you.
Thank you. And Ms. Riley, same question.
So I do agree with a lot of what Jocelyn said. I think we need to look at, first and foremost, clearly we had a lot of budget issues this past year. So coming into this new season, we need to look at what we're spending, where we're spending it, and prioritize with all 5 of our schools, similar to what Jocelyn said, with a wish list. We need to understand first what needs to be addressed first and foremost. And believe me, I completely understand the issues with the field. I was a tennis player. We played on town farm courts, and they were riddled with cracks for several years. So these are all things that absolutely need to be addressed, but I think we need to prioritize our budget first and figure out where the money needs to be spent.
Ms. Farnworth, 30 seconds.
Thank you, and I'm not going to reiterate some of the ideas that the candidates came up with, because I agree with them, and I would also support working on our fields to keep them up to date. But we also have many other needs for bringing our schools into the 21st century for learning spaces. I would fully support the media room at the high school. The middle school, we have science rooms that haven't been touched in the 45 years that that building's been standing, inoperable equipment. It's just, it really in need of help. We have also at the middle school locker rooms where children don't have privacy to change. This auditorium, I know it's been called a country club here, but if you look at the seats in this auditorium, there are a number of them that don't have seats. So we have a lot of needs. This doesn't come out of our operating budget. We have a 5-year capital plan. Many of these things are already noted on the capital plan. We just have to find ways to fund it. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, please, Ms. Paquette, jump in, please.
I also agree that there should be definitely a poll of what needs to be done, a wish list as well. I do agree with that. My main concern, and it's a small portion, but it's still a concern, is the special education program at the high school. Definitely needs to be updated.
When you see the yellow, you can keep talking.
Okay. So that it definitely needs to be updated. There's not a very good space for the special education kids at the high school. There's a much better area in the middle school. So I'd like to bring that up to speed because special ed kids matter.
Thank you. All right, we'll move to a new topic. This is going to go Diane, Kim, Mike. Schools today are addressing student needs that go beyond basic core academics and classroom education. The schools and their staff are often first responders for students with mental health problems, trauma, and threats to their social emotional well-being. Do you agree that the public school district should be addressing these needs? And is the Tiverton School District currently in a good position to handle these challenges?
Thank you. To answer the question of should we be addressing these needs, we have no choice. The kids that come to us every day rely on us for their education, and if they're not fed, if they're not in a good place emotionally, they cannot learn. We have no choice but to provide these additional supports. For those who may have attended last night's school committee meeting, we had a phenomenal presentation by the high school school assistance counselor who called out some trends that we're seeing now at the high school with children who are using, increases in nicotine as well as in marijuana use. These are issues that are coming into us from our community with our children. In order for them to be able to learn, we have to support them with these social and emotional needs as best we can.
Thank you. Ms. Paquette, same question.
I agree with a lot of what Mrs. Farnworth has said. I was reading online, there's a new program that's coming out for the state of Rhode Island. It's called Hazel Health. They're going to be providing health care at home, virtually or in person. I think that's great. A lot of parents don't have the time to take their child to a psychiatrist or extra help with mental health issues. A lot of times it takes a long time to get on a waiting list to get to see a doctor. I definitely think that to be a student, you need to have a free mind. As Mrs. Farnworth said, you need to be fed. You need to, if you've got problems that are happening in your personal life, then that's just going to overflow into your educational life. So we definitely need to address those issues. There definitely needs to be staff available for that. Thank you.
Mr. Jacotis.
So this is an important topic. We have children that spend more time in our schools than they do in their homes. We have children that look forward to coming to school because it can be a positive opportunity, or sometimes at home it's a negative environment. We have school counselors, we have guidance counselors, we have people that work with social work. We have our administrators, we have a school resource officer. We have lots of people that need to interact with our children. One of the best things that's happened in the world in the last 20 so years is, the rise of internet being available and social media. And one of the worst things that's happened in the last 20 years is internet and social media. And we all know that our children face pressures that never have been applied before because of social media, bullying and different types of peer pressure, drug use. And if I'm reelected as candidate, I will make sure that I'm always supporting our children. We need to have these resources in our school. We cannot cut guidance counselors. We have to have people there for our children. Mental health is just as important as physical health. Thank you.
Yes, please, Ms. Sherman.
To piggyback on what they're saying, these services are critical. If you're a student in crisis, if you don't have access to food, if you have issues at home, the school needs to at least be a safe place, and those clinicians need to be here. And you know, like Diane said, that presentation on the diversion program last night was excellent, and that's one example of what's already happening in these schools. You know, and I think we can all agree, post-pandemic, our world is still suffering from that. And I can say that with the increased census at the hospital, people need care, they need access to care, and they need at least one adult in the building that they feel comfortable with and create that safe space for them. So these services need to be preserved, if not enhanced.
Thank you. And yes, please jump in, Ms.
I'll take a
Riley.
wild card too, please.
Yes.
So, I think first and foremost, ensuring safety and confidence in all of our students is key. A confident student who feels welcome, who feels safe with their peers, with their educators, and with their administration is a student that will thrive. So I think we need to do everything that we can to provide whatever services are necessary for these students. And a lot of it, like they all indicated, and I agree, comes in the form of social workers and those services that we're able to provide at the schools.
Thank you. New question. This goes Jocelyn, Jordan, Diane. Do you believe the school department should continue exploring school consolidation? What other options should be considered to ensure a balanced budget that places students first?
Great question. So I think if we can first evaluate opportunities for savings with our current budget, you know, can we look to our vendors? What can we do to get some cost savings into our budget? But if you saw the school committee meeting last night, we're heading into another season of struggle with our budget. We don't know what we're going to get for state aid. We do know that state aid has been an issue for us. So I think we're going to obviously do all the work that we can to find some cost savings. However, I don't think it's off the table building consolidation. Nobody wants to do it, but I think we have to be realistic in our future. I'd rather preserve teaching positions.
Thank you. Ms. Riley.
Yes, so I agree with preserving teaching positions, absolutely. Our student populace isn't going to change regardless, whether it grows or stays the same or shrinks. I think our teachers are our most valuable resource right now. So this town made a commitment in 2002 to, and overwhelmingly in support of preserving the neighborhood school structure that we have in place right now. We took out a bond 2 years later to fund that structure. And then again, this past year, parents and community members came out in support of that very structure that we have today. I agree, budget issues are a concern, but I think we need to be tapping into resources that we have already. We have an exceptionally passionate group of parents here in Tiverton that donate their time, donate their efforts, and are willing to share ideas for growth, for support. I know over the past several weeks, I've received a number of ideas for grants, for donations, working with corporations. I think there are so many untapped resources that we need to explore first before we delve into consolidation, which would uproot every single child in the district.
Thank you. Ms. Farnworth, same question for a minute.
Thank you very much. I'll try and get through this as quickly as I can. The first thing I'll say is that I will always, and I have always been an advocate for as much funding as we can get to serve our students. Secondly, we're looking for efficiencies in our expenses. Obviously, that's an important thing. This year in particular, we're holding a very tight line on expenditures. Thirdly, I think we need to be a little bit more forward-thinking. I would like us to more actively pursue Little Compton students. There's a couple hundred kids out there. There's no reason why they're running their own school system. They could be coming in consolidating with us. We also need to look at our CTE programs. We have some great programs out there. How can we make sure that the entire Newport County region is aware of these great programs that we have here, and what new programs can we create to attract students? I think those are all important forward-looking things. Now, on the flip side, enrollment. 2004, we had 2,163 students in our system. We're now hovering right around 1,500. That's a 30% drop in the last 20 years. When that bond was approved and acted upon in 2004, we had 30% more students than we have today. We have so much capacity in our buildings, and what's more important is that we can deliver quality education. We are going to need to learn to adapt to the size of school system we now have. It's not 2004 anymore. Thank you.
Mr. Dakotas, 30 seconds.
Thank you. I'll try to talk fast. So, like this or not, I know the buildings don't educate the children. The staff does. With that being said, I know as a community what we decided on many years ago to keep this model, this 5-school model. But as the chair of the school committee said, you do have to look at the enrollment. It is important. The taxpayers have to stay within their means. We can't force people out of town and keep raising taxes. I think that, again, the town council's done a great job in trying their best to help us. And I will say one thing, that I am the liaison with the state representative and our state senator, and I will continue to work with them. And I know just from speaking with Representative Edwards recently that at the State House there's talk of some changes coming. Might not be this year, our savior, but hopefully it will change, and hopefully it will help. So the longer we could stave off making decisions on closing buildings is probably in our best interest. So I think it's something we have to be open-minded about. We have to hear from the community and see what the community wants. But this is an important topic. I have to make sure that I chime in on it because I am running for re-election, and I just want to make sure that whatever happens, we do the best we can to keep what we voted to do. There are bonds in the buildings. I know that the people moved in certain neighborhoods to go to these schools, neighborhood schools, and whatever we do, we just have to keep in mind the staff are humans. We can't lay them off every year, bring them back, and lay them off and bring them back. It's also not fair. So we need to make sure that whatever we do, it's fair to the community and our staff. Thank you.
I'm going to call on Ms. Riley first. She indicated first, but I also want to just point out that thank you for doing that. You already spoke on this topic, but you want to jump back in, and you candidates, you're totally free to do that. You have the opportunity to. So, Ms. Riley, please go ahead.
Thank you. Agreed with a lot of what's been said, but I also think before we jump the gun on making any decisions or even entertaining ideas about consolidation, I think we need to consider maintaining the students that we have and bringing in a new student populace. So going out and, I think somebody mentioned, utilizing the resources that we have with our CTE programs. We see new developments popping up in Tiverton every day. We know that these students exist. There's a gap because we're not able to maintain these students that we have brought in. We're losing them by the dozens, and we can all agree that there's a decline. So I think we need to first focus on what we need to do, exit surveys with parents, understanding what we can do to maintain the students that we do have, what programs are necessary, what services might need to be added or might need to be eliminated that aren't working for us. There's a lot more work that can be done. to grow and maintain our existing populace rather than jumping the gun and considering consolidation.
And yes, Ms. Sherman,
Thank you.
if you still want to.
I do.
Okay, go right ahead.
I like the idea of looking at Little Compton to see if there's opportunity there, because that's a different way to think about consolidation. That's a positive consolidation. And I failed to mention the good work that's being done in our CTE programs currently. And anyone in this room can reach out to Ms. Cusimano. She's proud of that work. She's proud to share what those programs are doing. There's 6 currently, and there's more in the works. And so that's another opportunity to bring in and retain some of our students. But certainly looking at the funding formula too to see what's our future hold, because with declining enrollment, we really need to look at that.
Thank you. Yes, you want something else to add? Yeah, go right ahead.
I definitely agree that looking outside the box needs to happen. There needs to be grants written to bring in money. We need to find out why our students are leaving. Very concerned about the teachers and the staff in the schools. They are pushed to their limit. We can say that they're wonderful. They are wonderful. We can say that they're going to adapt to the extra workload that they've gotten, but it's not sustainable. It's not good for their mental health. It's not good for our students. So we really need to look at the income situation, the revenue. We really need to do that. It's not fair to the teachers. And I'm concerned about the construction that's going to be going on. We're going to be having a lot more students. And to close a building and then to have to build one, if we're going to sell it, it just doesn't make much sense. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, we're going to move to a new topic. Kim, you're first, then Mike and Jocelyn. I'll read slowly. What is your assessment of Tiverton High School, its resources, its programs for all students, and the overall quality of a Tiverton High School education? What, if anything, would you work on during your time on the school committee?
As I said before, I definitely would work on the special education program. Special education is mandated. These students have IEPs and they need to be followed, and the program definitely needs work. As far as the other programs go with the other students that are not on an IEP, I think they're doing a great job. I love the CTE program. Ms. Cusimano's doing a wonderful job, actually. I would like to see, and I've had students ask me when I was working here, what about a plumbing or an electrical type of program? Not everyone's going to go to college, and we need our plumbers, our electricians, we need our auto repair people. I think that that would be another way to look into adding a little bit more programming to the high school.
Thank you. Mr. Dakota, same question.
So I'll start by saying this. In the 4 years that I've sat on the school committee, I want to give some credit where it's due. So I see Mrs. Craven is right here in the crowd. You've done a wonderful job at that high school. The school has turned around. The kids are receiving high quality education, whether they're doing something that's going to lead them to the trades, or with Mrs. Cusimano doing a CTE program. But how about all the AP courses that we're adding there? We're trying to prepare kids for where they need to go. So as Ms. Paquette said, if they need to be in the trades, a plumber and a mechanic, great. Tiverton High School is a good choice for you. If a child wants to go to a high-performing 4-year school or a 2-year community college, we can do what you need to do to get you there. You've come a long way. We have work to do. I think our principal would agree. We have work to do. Our scores are improving. They can be better. They will be better. And we have staff that is proud to do what they do, and they want to be the best. And if I'm here for another 4 years, I'm all behind that. I want that school to be a high performer. Thank you.
Ms. Sherman, same question.
I might need a few wild cards for this one. I'm very proud of Tiverton High School. I think so much has happened here for the positive. Like Mike said, the AP courses. It's not just having AP courses, it's having access and opportunity for those courses. I didn't have that opportunity in high school, but my daughter did, and she took 2 AP courses last year, and it took care of some credits in college now, and that's huge to us. It's so amazing that she had that opportunity. She was very well supported here her whole 4 years. I can't say enough about how much support she received for her academic success, just as my junior is experiencing too. But moreover, the AP program, the CTE programs, the work that's being done, the CTE programs are at the home show. They're out there providing credits for students, and then there's work-based learning. So kids have an opportunity in the afternoon to go to their work-based opportunities. So that could be for students that want that post-secondary success, maybe in the workforce and maybe not in college. So between the programs that are offered, the courses that are available to students, they're challenged, and that's what they need, because they're going to be more challenged when they take the next step beyond here, whether it's college, whether it's the workforce. They have the support, they have the challenges, and it's only going to get better.
Thank you. I lost my place, but that was the three of you on that question. So, anyone else? Okay, new question. This goes Jordan, Diane, Kim. What are some of the most pressing issues our students face today, particularly our tweens and teens, and what would you do at the school committee level to address them?
That's a good question. I have two soon-to-be tweens, and I think one of the biggest issues that we face now is bullying, particularly cyberbullying, because of the access that our kids have to internet. I think there are a lot of great programs that we can utilize. We have, I mentioned briefly in my opening about Tiverton Little Compton Prevention Coalition, which just recently received a new grant to work with children on bullying, drugs, alcohol, all the issues that they face today. I think that we can provide the resources at school, making school feel like a safe place with counselors, with educators who they can trust, which I think we do have. But I think that that's one of the biggest issues that we face, and I think that we can utilize the resources that we have.
Thank you.
To work with them.
Ms. Farnworth, same question.
Thank you. With regard to the younger set, the tweens, if you will, the middle school years in particular are very difficult years. Anyone who's ever had a child will agree with me on that. Making sure that they have the social and emotional support that they need for those years. And to Ms. Riley's statement, bullying, right? Let's continue to fight bullying. It's always been an issue for that age group, and probably always will be. I think it's just nature. But we do need to fight it and ensure that the children are not being bullied by their peers. For the teens, I think supporting them with choice, giving them a high school experience that they can remember fondly as they go through life. We want to prepare them to be able to do whatever they would like upon graduation. And just providing those choices, giving them the autonomy is so important to keeping them involved in school.
Thank you. And Ms. Paquette, same question.
I agree. Definitely bullying is one of the things that is huge. Cyberbullying, students, when they have their phones, I don't know where that is, if that's a policy. I did look online, there's no policy for no cell phones. I've seen kids that have come in from class in tears because their friends were bullying them in class on their cell phones and in their Chromebooks. Bullying is huge. Cell phones are huge. Social media is just, it's out of control. It needs to be not in the classroom unless it's for academics. I agree with Diane saying that they need to socially prepare for growing up and going into the world. They definitely need to have that. They need to learn how to socialize. They need to learn how to work through their problems. They need to learn how to work with other people, communicate with other people. That's all. Thank you.
Yeah, either, okay, Ms. Farnworth, please. You wanted to add something else? Or I wasn't sure if you were.
No, I would like to add something.
Yeah, go right ahead.
Just a clarifying point. The Tiverton School District, the school committee does not have cell phone policies. However, the schools themselves do have policies as put forth in their student handbooks, and this pertains to both the high school and the middle school. The high school has the pouches that the students are required to use. Middle school, I believe, have even more strict protocols. So I just wanted to make sure everyone is aware of that. We do have cell phone policies. They're not school committee policies, but they are student handbook policies.
Okay, so we're actually up to our last question. This is gonna go Mike, Jocelyn, Jordan. And I feel badly because I called on Jordan with the, that was a tough question. You'd be the first one to have to answer, but you're gonna love this question and you're the last one to answer. So it all works itself out. Question is there anything we have not talked about yet tonight that you would like to talk about? Oh, I'm sorry, it's Mr. Dakota's first.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
Oh, would you like to go first, Jordan?
He can go
may.
first.
Okay.
I have to look through my
I'll give you the
notes.
stage if you'd like it. I think something that is probably important for us to talk about is, I would say decorum. What I'd like to see change is what happened this spring. There's a lot of social media, this and that. People are angry and pointing fingers, and it's the council's fault, the school committee's fault, the principal's fault. The town council, the school committee, the budget committee, we're volunteers, right? We do this because we think we have something to add, and we want to help, and we want to make things better. And in a society now, when we're going to have an election in 2 weeks, we have a very cruel world, and those of us that have children that are going to be growing up are going to be entering this world that's a lot more cruel. And I just think as adults we can be good role models, and we can talk to each other, work with each other.
Ms. Sherman, anything else you'd like to talk about?
It's like he was in my head, because that's exactly what I'm thinking about too, is meeting decorum, being respectful to all the groups so that we can work together. I think the better we work together, the more productive we're going to be, and we're going to get those outcomes. You know, we're all here for the same reason. We care about the kids in this town. We want that same goal. We have to work together. And you know, I think your digital footprint matters, and so how you present in person should also reflect how you present online. And I think things got pretty divisive and, you know, unfortunately disrespectful. And I think if you want real information, you want vetted information, you have to go to the source. So if you have a question about the middle school, you should contact the middle school. If you have a question about Pecasset, call Pecasset. I think we have to go to our sources. And you know, we hear a lot about communication, and one really important thing about communication is listening. And not listening because you're waiting for your turn to speak, but actually active listening. That way, you can take in that information and really think about it. We're not always going to agree, but we need to collaborate.
And Ms. Riley, go right ahead.
Yep, so I am going to speak on the same topic. I think one of the issues that really stood out in this past year was the lack of collaboration between the school committee, town council, parents, administration. There were clear gaps. I know Jocelyn mentioned social media, but we do have to be realistic. Social media is great, and it can also be harmful. I think we need to utilize it to the best of our capabilities to reach out to parents who may not feel comfortable standing up and speaking on issues with a minute at the podium or 2 minutes at the podium. I think social media can be utilized for the good, and it's a great resource for us to talk to parents, and also going into classrooms. I know I was lucky enough to go to get to visit Pecasset this past week and spend half a day in a classroom and see the interaction, see the environment, the children, the way the educators communicate. It was huge. So I think putting ourselves out there, speaking to the educators on a regular basis, having check-ins, talking to parents, getting input, that's how we're going to grow. We cannot have the divisiveness.
Thank you. If we're done,
Yeah.
we can,
Audience questions?
yes, we can, yes.
Please.
All right, so I'm a planner, so I like to plan. I'm not good off the cuff. We'll ask, these are all very similar. Why don't we do 30-second answers? We'll go right down the row. We'll start left to right. A speaker at last night's committee meeting asserted that the district policy on transgender students is illegal and discriminatory. What are your thoughts on his comments and the policy in place in Tiverton? Ms. Farnworth.
Thank you. I think I did make my thoughts known that last evening, but I will reiterate it tonight. Tiverton School District is an inclusive and accepting school district. We treat all of our students and our staff with the utmost of respect, as it should be. I found that the speaker's comments were reprehensible, and I'm very happy to report that he did not stay the entire meeting.
Thank you. Ms. Paquette.
I have not yet watched the meeting. Can someone give me a...
I'll tell you, I'll take
Is
some
that
of,
okay?
I'll take Mrs. Paquette's time if she'll give it to me.
It's for sale.
Why don't we, Mr. Kotis, why don't you go next?
Okay, so, yeah, this is a free democracy. People are able to speak their mind. They're able to have their own opinion. Everyone does. That's why we live in the greatest country in the world. However, this is Tiverton. This isn't blue versus red or anything like that. Our schools are inclusive to all. Some of the comments and statements made last night by this one particular speaker were inaccurate. Sharing bathrooms and things I heard are not correct. We have bathrooms for one person with locks on them so anyone can go into them. So I would just say that I don't think there's any policy change coming from my end. I think we do what we do well.
And Ms. Sherman.
I would not support any policy change. I didn't agree with that speaker. Our policy is in place. We follow the ride guidelines, and the school needs to be safe and supportive for 100% of the students. He kept referring to 99%. 100% needs that safe environment.
And Ms. Riley.
So unfortunately, I was not able to be at the meeting last night, so I did not hear, but I did get a quick synopsis. I am going to agree. I think that our schools, and I did touch upon this briefly before, but our schools need to be safe and inclusive for all students. If there are needs for a particular child that are not being met, I think that we need to take those needs seriously into consideration and make sure that every child feels secure and confident at school.
Thank you. And Ms. Paquette, do you want to add anything to the topic?
As a mom with a child that has special needs, I can say that the schools are definitely inclusive. The kids have welcomed my daughter. She has friends. It's a great environment and every student should feel included. So I guess that was the gist I got, that there was an issue about not having inclusion, and that's not right.
Sounds
I'm
good.
definitely against that.
All right, we're going to do one last question, and we're going to start right in the middle. Mr. Dakotas, we're going to start with you. You can be our leadoff hitter. What are your thoughts on the town council deciding the school budget?
Can you say the end of that again? I didn't hear it.
What are your thoughts on the town council overseeing and deciding the school budget?
Well, I think they have a lot on their plate. 7 people make the decision of the entire town. It's a lot of decision making. It's a lot of stress. I know when I sat on the budget committee, there's people in this room that I sat with. It's an enviable task to shell out money everywhere it needs to be. And I'll say that I think the ones that I think that the town council members that we have always attempt to do the right thing. There's no perfect solution. I think we are a town that's growing and we're moving in a different direction. And I will say that one thing in the future is, education is important. That's why we're here running for school committee. And as long as we have the town council to come to ask for the money, we can always work to come to a conclusion. I know we've had different ways of deciding budgets. I'm not against the town council having that authority. Thank you.
Ms. Sherman?
I like the idea of early collaboration with a town-wide financial subcommittee so that we can stay current, get ahead of issues, problem solve. But I think it is the school committee's responsibility. It's one of their responsibilities to manage the budget, and we would do that with the information and guidance of our administrators and our teachers as they know what the schools need. So I favor more towards a collaborative effort where we're gathering the information, we're working with them to work towards a solution for the budget.
Ms. Riley?
I think you touched upon this, but in the first phase of the financial audit, Mark quoted a lack of collaboration is evident between the town and school district, and there is a need for improvement in the school's financial reporting methods. So I do think that lines of communication need to be opened up between the school committee and the town council to ensure that that budgets are transparent and that spending is where it needs to be. So if there's nothing to hide, I don't see anything wrong with having those doors open. I don't think it's a control issue. I think it's more of a collaboration.
Thank you. Ms. Farnworth?
So when the idea was initially proposed to eliminate the FTR and go with town council approving authority, initially I was in full agreement, and to an extent I still am. However, there have been growing pains, without a doubt, both on the town council side and the school side. I would again continue to advocate for a town-wide finance committee. I think having dedicated resources meeting on a regular basis to discuss nothing but finances is something that could be very beneficial to our town.
And Ms. Paquette?
I just had a question of your question. Is this, along with question 6 on the ballot, which is the town council receive
Yes.
quote?
Yes.
Is that okay? I just want to make sure I got that. I'm for it. I don't think the town council wants to make a budget. I don't think they want to control the spending at all. I think they just want some kind of accountability. When I was watching one of the town council meetings, it was said that the school department had been given an early deadline to get their budget in so that the town could do their budget for the state, and for 3 years in a row it was passed, the deadline passed, they didn't make the deadline. So I think it's important to send those financial statements to the town council. I think the town council, I have just been starting to get involved in all of this, and I think the town council, and I'm sure a lot of people will disagree with me, but it's just my opinion. I think the town council has done a really good job coming out with having the money for the budget. They have given, I believe it's $3 million for safety issues, which is a big thing in my heart. And they have I think they funded the budget. In the past, that's not been the case, obviously, with level funding. Thank you.
All right, great, thank you all. All right, we're moving to closing statements. We'll start, we'll go in the same sequence, so Ms. Farnworth, we'll call on you first. So you have technically you have any unused wildcard time plus 30 seconds, so I'll let you know how much time you have. So for your closing statement, you have up to a minute if you would like, Ms. Farnworth.
I'll try to spend it wisely. First of all, I do want to say thank you very much to League of Women Voters as well as East Bay Media Group for organizing this evening. I will say that I am truly committed to the success of Tiverton schools. I think I've proven that over time. I am proud of my track record as a school committee person. Nothing is ever black and white, and honestly, public service is not easy if you do it right. You got to put the time in, you have to put the studying in, you have to understand the issues. It takes a good deal of your life from you. However, I remain committed to this. I'm proud of this record. I'm not perfect, but as an advocate for public education, I will freely admit that I am a lifelong learner. I would like to enjoy the opportunity to set school committee goals after the election. I do want to remind everyone that we have contract negotiations coming up. We need better communication. We need to get through our financial issues. So again, thank you very much for coming this evening, and I do appreciate your support and ask for your vote.
Thank you. Ms. Paquette, you have up to a minute and a half or less.
I just want to again say thank you to everyone that's here, sitting here, listening to what we have to say. I want to thank the moderator and League of Women's Voters for doing this, because this is a great opportunity for everyone to meet people and understand what they're all about. I'm not the greatest of speakers. I am a hard worker. I will listen. I'm able to have my opinions, but I like to listen to other people's opinions. I'm not that rigid that I can't listen. I need to have all the information so I can make a good decision. I just want to make a difference. There's some issues that I would like to see addressed that haven't been addressed, and I think they're really important. And that's why I would like to be on the school committee. I just ask everyone that they carefully consider when they go to vote, because the superintendent position is going to need to be filled, and that is a critical position. They need to be very, very careful. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Dakotas, you have a minute.
Thank you. Newport County League of Women Voters, thank you, Scott. Thank you for doing this. People that are here, thank you for coming and spending your time with us. Thank you to the candidates for coming, all 5 of us, which is nice. What I'd like to say is I would like to continue giving to Tiverton as far as public service. I would like to think that I am someone you can call, or you can email, or you can get a hold of me, and I will have a conversation with you. And I think it's important, and some of what I already said tonight is about collaboration and decorum and just listening to people. You know, most of our parents probably told us, 2 ears and 1 mouth. It's good to listen. You learn more when you listen. And when you make well-informed decisions, it's because you've listened and you've done your homework. I'm someone you can count on. I have only missed a handful of meetings in 4 years. I have a very busy life. I'm president of Tiverton Little League. I have young children, and I make a commitment to be here because I want to be here. I want to serve this town. I think Tiverton Public Schools is a great place to be. I think we have been heading in a great direction. I would like to continue that, and I humbly ask for your vote on November 5th. Thank you.
Thank you. And before you go, Ms. Sherman, I just want to, so Ms. Riley, just so you're setting your train of thought, you did use up all your wild cards, so you have 30 seconds, just so you can adjust your thinking. So Ms. Sherman, you have up to 2 minutes if you'd like.
Here we go.
Thank you, everyone, for being here tonight. I'm passionate about this. Volunteering is something that's always been part of my DNA. I've been volunteering since high school with various organizations, and I found volunteering in the schools so rewarding. I met incredible people at the Cassett. Those teachers were amazing and so good to my kids. But I also made lifelong friends with fellow volunteers. We had fun, we raised money, we provided so many great events for the kids. And then we took that to the middle school, and that was so much fun as well. I never imagined volunteering in the middle school. I didn't think my kids would want me there. And that was an incredibly rewarding experience, and grateful for having had that opportunity. This feels like the right next step, and to continue to volunteer, to give back to the community, and to be part of the solution. In the middle school, one of our mottos always was, leave things better than you found them, and that's always my goal. What can I do to be part of the solution? How can I hear from you, get your input, and work towards the common goal? We're obviously all here because we're passionate about our child's experience. We want the best for them, and that's my goal, to support them and support their success, support our teachers, administration, and do whatever we can to highlight the good work that's already happening in this district. Thank you.
Thank you. And Ms. Riley?
I know I don't have much time, so I'll try to make this quick. But I'm sitting here today for the very same reason my husband and I planted roots here years ago. Love and passion for the town of Tiverton and what we know it's capable of. I'm running for all of the families just like my own who want the very best for our incredible schools. I've seen the magic our schools and teachers are capable of firsthand, and I want more of it. I'm running for the 10-year-old in me who fell instantly in love with the magic in our schools so many years ago. And now the mom in me who's excited to work side by side with families, community members, and teachers to continue to create magic for our children and fill our community with Tiger pride.
Thank you. Thank you. All right, before we wrap up, a couple of things. So the one thing about the candidates, for those of you watching, it's actually really hard doing it. I've said this many times in many forums. It's a really difficult thing to sit up here and get questions thrown at you and have about a second to compose your thoughts and answer it. So great job, candidates. Round of applause. And the last thing I'll just say, I think this wraps up a saga with the League of Women Voters of both Newport County and Bristol County, which East Bay that I've worked with in East Providence. Something like together they put together maybe 12 different forums throughout the East Bay. More than yeah, 20. I don't know, because there were on some nights we did multiple forums, and so we organized forums and they organized forums in East Providence, Barrington, Warren, Bristol, Portsmouth, Tiverton, Little Compton, Middletown, Newport, and Jamestown. All within the past month, and some of them prior to the primary. It's an incredible amount of effort, volunteerism, organization, communication. The league did all the work. I showed up at a few of them and got to stand in the spotlight. But thank you to the League of Women Voters. Tremendous effort. And if you haven't, don't forget to vote.